Yes, my name is Gabriel Bernard, and I'm appearing on behalf of myself, in my own capacity.
My name is
Okay.
Dominic
Sorry, go on.
Lucarelli, and I'm Mr. Bernard's legal counsel.
Thank you. Do you have a short opening statement?
Yes, I have an opening statement. Thank you for having me, Senators. By way of background, I co-founded investigative research agency Viceroy Research anonymously in 2017 when I was 22 years old. At Viceroy, we work extremely hard to uncover fraud, fads, and failures in public markets. Our reputation and track record for uncovering fraud is exceptional. Market values of frauds identified by Viceroy exceed $100 billion US. After we've done hard yards of meticulously researching a subject company, Viceroy sometimes takes a financial position against that business. Sometimes this research and the resulting positions we take earn us a handsome reward. Other times, they do not, despite our successes in identifying frauds. Our work has resulted in Russian government spies being placed on Interpol's most wanted list, and you can see their faces on posters at airports. We've helped thwart money laundering channels, dangerous medical trials, illegal drug operations, loan sharks, Ponzi schemes, and put those responsible behind bars. On stats alone, I believe our team of three have vastly outperformed ASIC in cleaning up public frauds in public financial markets over the last 6 years. Because of our work, me, my team, and our families have been doxxed, sued, stalked, harassed, physically threatened by those companies, their shareholders, private investigators, and/or members of organized crime. Viceroy has been consistent in providing regulators access to our investigation findings prior to publishing them freely for all to read through our website. We enjoy a cordial, cooperative, and transparent relationship with most global financial regulators. And for reasons beyond my comprehension, ASIC is a rare and unexpected exemption. This is despite best efforts from Viceroy's end. Some notable investigations by our team include Wirecard, Grenke, and Tyro. Wirecard is the largest and most well-documented financial fraud in German history. Me and my colleagues were put under constant surveillance, including in our own homes, by former Libyan intelligence hired by Wirecard to spy on us for our whistleblowing efforts. Grenke was a German financing company who financed dozens of fraudulent Ponzi-like schemes in Australia, which were never investigated by Australian regulators. As a direct result of our findings, the entire board was fired, the auditors quit, and the company has been placed under effective curatorship by BaFin, the German regulator. Finally, I reported to ASIC and to the Australian markets that Tyro had bricked a large web of their payment terminals and had neglected to inform the market for several days, which led to several weeks. And my stories of dealing with ASIC is an extremely alarming one. On the morning of 5th of August 2021, 6 armed federal police officers wearing ballistics vests stormed my apartment. Had my fiancée not been leaving the apartment to go for a morning walk, and by chance opened the door and encountered the officers, I have no doubt they would have used a battering ram they carried to knock my door clean off its hinges. I was frisked despite still being in bed and presented with a warrant which outlined I was being investigated for insider trading stocks of these companies. These companies were in the very same companies Viceroy has whistleblown on 2 regulators, including Wirecard, Grenke, and Tyro. In Tyro's case, Viceroy had directly whistleblown to ASIC. During the execution of the search warrants, ASIC explicitly searched for and purposely took copies of Viceroy's entire cloud drive and my personal computer, and my phones were also physically seized. With all of mine and Viceroy's information in their possession, ASIC chose to compel me to attend a compulsory Section 19 interview where I was forced to answer all questions put to me. Prior to the interview, I was also informed that this Section 19 interview carried a gag order of 12 months. Mere weeks after receiving my data and a forced Section 19 interview, ASIC sent a no further action letter to my lawyer. This was almost 2 years ago. My lawyer has, for the last 2 years, engaged in correspondence with ASIC to determine whether or not ASIC has destroyed all my data it took from my home in 2021, forcefully. This is despite me never being charged with any crime, nor being under any active investigation by ASIC. To conduct an armed raid on the homes of innocent financial analysts, market pundits, or whistleblowers who raise questions of financial market fraud is harassment. To place those innocent individuals under gag orders for long periods while playing ducks and drakes about whether ASIC retains private data which they seize during armed raids is an egregious abuse of power and clear evidence, I feel, of gross misjudgment or corruption in ASIC as its role as market regulator. My experience with global financial regulators is that rarely, if ever, do financial regulators act in a timely manner which protects the interests of all innocent stakeholders of fraudulent businesses. However, most regulators will accept that the market, will regulate itself and allows the regulator to deliver justice to bad actors. ASIC takes a borderline Orwellian approach to protecting public markets, which is to say that it silences critics with threats, allows frauds to fester, and creates a perception of safety in our markets. I can say this confidently because I know I'm not the only private citizen, fund manager, or research house who has been harassed by ASIC under the guise of regulatory investigation. There are many others, and some likely do not feel they have the courage to speak out about these ills for fear of further reprisal from ASIC at an unknown time in the future. So I put it to you, Senators, that there's a very real possibility that ASIC is incapable, unwilling, or a dangerous mix of both to identify and prosecute corporate financial crime in Australia to any satisfactory degree. It further appears that they are either intentionally or ignorantly treating whistleblowers as criminals. At best, ASIC is an incompetent regulator at regulating public financial markets. At worst, I believe ASIC is a captured regulator. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thanks, Mr. Bernards. So I guess my main question is, were you involved in insider trading in any of these companies in which ASIC was making allegations?
No, I was not, Senator. The companies to which ASIC made allegations of insider trading, 3 were very public campaigns where we identified fraud at these companies, and those reports are publicly available on our website. And the remaining companies appear to be randomly picked trades from a CFD account, and most of which were trades I received from a public stock tip website run by a former FT editor called Ben Harrington.
Okay, and did ASIC serve you with any charges in relation to insider trading?
Never.
Okay, but so how do you know which companies they allege you may have been insider trading in?
In the warrants that I was served, they outlined specific investigations which ASIC was undertaking, and it outlined the specific trades that I was alleged to have been insider trading.
Okay. And had you previously been involved in providing information to ASIC?
Yes.
Okay. And was it in connection to some of these firms that were included in the warrant?
Yes, specifically Tyro. I loosely recall also providing regulators in Australia evidence against Grenke, but I don't recall if it was ASIC or the police.
Okay. And why do you think they thought you were engaged in insider trading at Tyro?
Senator, I have no idea. I think my documents and the reasons why I was short Tyro were in public access, and I have an enormous following on social media. I have large readership on my reports and on my website. The reasons why I was short Tyro were very, very public, and they were made available to ASIC as I corresponded directly with their whistleblowing team. Okay,
so when did ASIC give you notice that they had closed the insider trading investigation?
I'm just checking with my lawyer. It was 16th of December 2021.
22 days after.
Okay. And were you given any reasons?
No.
Okay. And have you been engaged in providing whistleblower-like tip-offs to other regulators?
Yes, consistently. Prior to every report Viceroy publishes, and we've published dozens. I believe I've sent documents to the committee prior to my speech. For every single one of these reports we've written, we've provided full documentation and data rooms to financial regulators globally, and we're registered whistleblowers with the SEC's whistleblower program. We act as consulting capacity for BaFin on certain cases, and we have been pretty much instrumental in active ongoing investigations to put criminals behind bars.
Yeah. So this is a parliamentary committee which is looking at the quality of ASIC's law enforcement. So we are looking for whether there are good examples of where whistleblowers are treated appropriately and protected in other jurisdictions. Is there a model jurisdiction or regulator that you would recommend us examine?
Yes, the SEC, Senator. The SEC has a very, very sophisticated whistleblowing program. It has sophisticated channels with which you are able to whistleblow through an attorney.
It's incentivized.
It is incentivized with financial rewards. If the government does make a recovery or institutes a fine on these companies or bad actors, the whistleblower is entitled to a reward, and those rewards usually are significant enough to allow pro bono legal counsel for those willing to make a whistleblower submission.
Okay. How many tip-offs have you given ASIC that they have acted on, do you think?
That I've given ASIC or that I've acted on?
Well, how many have you given ASIC, do you think, overall?
I think perhaps on Wirecard and Ontario, we have given ASIC tip-offs on those, and we provided them reports as to our other public forums, but, not so. We've never received the response from ASIC on any publications we've sent them.
Okay, so when you engage with ASIC, is it to give them tip-offs as a whistleblower? Is it one way?
Yes.
You don't receive an acknowledgement?
We receive an acknowledgement sometimes.
Okay. But do you think ASIC has used information that's been given to you to take regulatory action?
I don't believe they have, no.
You don't believe they have?
No.
Okay, but could they have taken regulatory action in your opinion?
I believe some of the reports we were written were silver platter prosecutions.
Okay, could you give me an example or two?
I believe that our report on Quintus, which was in probably 2016 or 17, showed a very, very clear managed investment scheme fraud perpetrated by its directors in Perth. And I don't believe that they were criminally charged.
Okay. Are there any other suggestions that you have in relation to the protection of whistleblowers other than the SEC model? Are there any European or other jurisdictions where we could take some lessons?
I think that the biggest lesson to take from ASIC's end is the lesson of BaFin, which is the German financial regulator who staunchly defended Wirecard and other public market frauds in Germany up until its collapse in 2021. And then after its collapse, there was an inquiry like this one into the actions of BaFin. And BaFin was found to have been a wholly incompetent regulator to the extent that they were even trading Wirecard securities as they were investigating them and persecuting critics. The entire executive board of ASIC was wiped and they started fresh. And now we enjoy a very cooperative relationship with BaFin.
Yes.
Apologies. With BaFin, and we continue the system on many other cases that we've subsequent to Wirecard.
Okay. Look, I just want to finally ask you, you might not be able to answer this, but do you think there's a view about the role of short selling inside ASIC? Do you think ASIC has a view about the...
I think that there's a very, very obvious agenda ASIC has against short sellers, which has been widely propagated in its short selling guidelines. And these guidelines are sort of obscure and vague. And since they have been published, I haven't involved myself in any short selling activity in Australia and will recuse myself from doing so until there's some clarity on what I can and cannot do as a short seller in Australia. And during my Section 19 interview with ASIC, were very openly hostile to the fact that I was a short seller.
And do you think this is due to a lack of sophistication? What do you put it down to?
I'm not sure if it's a lack of sophistication or if this ASIC is seeking to actively protect Australian companies from short sellers, regardless of whether we may be right or wrong.
Okay, well, thank you very much for providing